Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, Glam Squad. Look, you already know what time it is. It is squad social time, you guys. No, it's squad story time. We haven't had a story time and God knows when. Like, I need to see this, y'all. I need to know when's the last time we had our last story time was a year ago. What? Oh my gosh. All right, guys, you get out of here. I can't believe it was a year ago. That means you are well overdue for a new story time. What the heck? Anyway, okay, without further ado, look, we're just gonna go ahead and get into this. I'm not even gonna say the title of it because you can see it right either above or below, but let's get into it. So this story, you know what, I'm gonna just get into it. Okay, so there was a point in my life where I was online dating, and I just, I thought to myself, I was like, you know what, I had been single, and had broke up with my ex maybe like 2 or so years ago, and I was just like, okay, well, I want to see what's out there. I just want to casually date. I don't want to do anything serious. So, I started dating. So, there's some guys, that I forget. There are some guys that are unforgettable. And then there are some guys that are just horribly ridiculous, you guys. Like, you guys, I'm just trying to figure out how we even want to start this story. It's going to be a little choppy, but we going to get there. We're going to get there. Because y'all got to hear this. We're going to get there. Okay. So, not too long ago, I had met a guy off of social media. And, we were talking and, he was saying how he had watched my page for a long time, and he would even talk to the universe about how he wanted to reach out to me and talk to me and this, that, and the third. And I really thought that was sweet. And I was almost on the brink of not wanting to date anymore, just to, not because dating had been sour to me, but because I had stuff to do, I'm a girl on my grind, okay? So I am busy all the freaking time, between taking pictures, doing makeup, working my network marketing business. I am just busy, okay? So yeah, I'm trying to, make that dollar holla. So, I was just about to tap out just for a little bit, just to, establish myself a little more, get some more things under my belt before I get out there again. So he comes along. So we're talking, and, he explains to me that he had, been looking at my page for a while, and this, that, and the third, and how he, basically in his mind knew that, not necessarily that he was going to get me, but that by way of law of attraction, that he already knew that, he was going to, make a good effort and it was going to go his way. So I was like, all right, I think that's really sweet that a guy, took his time out to, somebody thought that way of me. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. He was really sweet about it. He wasn't too cocky. Our conversations were really, really good. And you guys, I have a thing for guys that can talk more than me, because I don't like to have to be the over talker, always making a conversation and finding things to talk about. And when I'm talking to dudes, I like a dude that has a brain that can actually, that actually thinks and comes up with things, and so on and so forth, yada yada yada. So he was very intellectual, and he was very, well-rounded. He was a little hood. He did rap or whatnot as a hobby, and he made that clear. And he had he was able to stay on his feet or whatever. So cool. So we talked for a little while, and we just finally, he's like, I need to see you. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. So I hit him up that day when I got home. It was probably evening time, maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock. And so he was saying that he wanted to see me. He was like just reiterating that. And I was like, all right, that's cool. So I was like, okay, where do you want to go? So he was like, well, his child's birthday was coming up, and so he just spent the grip load on his child's birthday, so it can't be like anywhere super duper expensive. And I was like, you know what, I respect that. A man is doing for their kid, I can respect that. A single father. What I can't respect is a guy that don't speak to their kid every day, that their kid, you know what I mean, they don't take care of their kid, they live with their kid and their parents, and then their parents is taking care of the kid and whatever. So I was just like, all right, cool, why not? I'm fair, and plus I have my own coin, so we're good. So we get together and we decide that we're going to meet at IHOP. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not even going to promise you a time, because I'm always late, guys, always late. And I notice, like, when it comes to dates, that just doesn't work out for me, telling them a time. I tell them, like, hey, I'm home now, I'm starting getting ready, I'll let you know when I get out the shower, I'll let you know when I'm finished with my makeup, I'll let you know when I'm finished, getting dressed and I'm walking out the door. It doesn't work for me when I'm like, okay, we're going to meet up at 7:30 or 8:30 or whatever. It just doesn't work. So anyway, fast forward, we're gonna get to the good stuff. So we end up, I tell him I'm on my way. We both meet there in the middle. So he's coming from this end, I'm coming from this end. We meet in the middle. So we go there, and when we get there, we like met, and he was really, really, really intense. And I mean, like, he wasn't creepy, he was just like intense, like somebody, when they give you a hug, they're like, oh my gosh, like it's the last hug they're ever gonna get from you, and like they just love you with all their heart and soul. Like, that's the type of intense he was. But it didn't really scare me off or make me think anything of it, because my father is really intense like that. Like, he is so freaking intense and passionate and whatever. Like, so I'm used to like that. So, we meet up, and, I get there first. We meet up, we get out the car, and we meet in front of the IHOP, and, we exchange hugs and hellos, and, we go inside. And so we get seated, we talk, and when we sit down, we start talking. And the whole time I'm talking, like, I'm a real chill, laid back girl. Like, I get excited, and I get cray with my friends, but when it comes to like dating and dealing with dudes, like, I'm pretty much chill, because I wouldn't want, if I was a guy, I wouldn't want a girl that's like extra crazy. I don't know, like super duper crazy girls, like girls like that, to me, some people I do believe are super crazy, but some people have issues, and I just would never want a dude to act like that to me. So I don't want to do that. I would never do that to a guy, and I'm just super chill with dudes anyway. So anyway, we are talking, and we just cooling at the table, and he is just like staring in my eyes like, oh, and he's saying stuff like, I'm just infatuated with you, and da 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 da, and I'm just like, I don't like that word, because I feel like infatuation means that, like, you have this idea of me, like, and I feel like this happens a ton of times, you guys. Like, people look at my Instagram and my Facebook or wherever have you, and they see me dressed up, they see me with makeup on, they see all the glam, and they don't realize, like, that is what I like to do for fun. That is my profession. That's how I make money. But when I'm by myself, I am serene, I am calm, I am natural and neutral, and just there's a time and a place for everything, and I'm not glam all the time. And I think that a lot of guys, they see glam, and then they think, I don't know what they think they're going to get, but they don't get what they're looking for, I could tell you that much. So he was just like, oh, and ooh, and intense and rah. And I was just kind of like, okay. So we're having conversations. We're talking about, you know, personal things and whatnot. And, you know, while we're sitting there, I start to get a whiff of like he's full of himself, because he asked me this. He's like, so what did you think of me? Do you think I'm sexy? And I'm like, you all right? Like, what dude asked that? That's a female trait. Like, unless I'm your girl, don't, like, I'm just meeting you. And you're like, you know, so what do you think of me? Do you think I'm sexy? Like, dude, let me compliment you on my own. Like, you look nice tonight. Or I don't know. Let me compliment you on my own. Anyway, so I'm just looking like, so the waitress comes by and she's like, and this is where it starts to pop off, y'all. So the waitress comes by and she's just like, oh my gosh, your eyebrows are so gorgeous, and da 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 da. And I was like, oh, thank you, you know, whatever. So she walks away and he looks at me and he's like, are you, that's funny, because I usually get compliments when I'm out, not the woman. And I'm like, who the hell even thinks of this? Like, what? So I'm like, who the hell even thinks of this? Who even cares? What dude cares about this stuff? So, and he looked like, I mean, a sophisticated thug. And I'm going to get there, y'all, because y'all going to crack up. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I just like sweep that under the rug. And I just tell him, I'm like, I get compliments all the time when I'm out. Get used to it. Like, girls always compliment me on makeup. They love makeup. I love makeup. When I see a baddie, I be like, girl, you look cute. Yes. Yes. That's what we do. Everybody knows that. Anyway, so that like rubbed me a little the wrong way. I'm like, okay, somebody likes attention. Got it. Note taken. So then next, the waitress comes back and she looks at him in the face and she's like, oh my God, you look like Tupac. And you guys, I'm not even gonna lie to you, he looked extremely like Tupac. He had a nose ring and everything. He looked exactly like Tupac. And it's funny because the movie just came out. Then the movie hadn't come out, but it's funny now because the movie came out. I've been trying to get y'all this story time for forever, okay? But he looked extremely like Tupac. So he's like, ah, thanks. So she goes and he's like eating it up, and I'm like, this is what it is. So he's used to girls like swooning over him and fanning over him because of that. So, or that particular reason. So the girl leaves and she comes back. And she has her coworker, and y'all, I'm like getting hungry at this time because I'm like, I wasn't hungry at first, now I'm hungry, and y'all playing. So she comes back and she drags her male coworker, and she's like, oh my God, look at him, doesn't he look like Tupac? I'm so sorry, ma'am, but doesn't he look like Tupac? Look at him, oh my God. And I'm just like, yeah, you're stating the obvious. Yeah. Oh, he did. Yeah, I was trying not to state the obvious. What? So I was agitated by that because I felt like she wasn't professional, number one. And number two, like, he was just eating it up, and you could tell that that's what he had been waiting for all night long or whatever. Or that whole 20-30 minutes we had been there. So anyway, he's like, I'm like, they're like, okay, are you ready to order? And I'm like, yes, finally. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, and he's like, you know, I'm not gonna, I just look at him and he's like, oh, I'm not gonna order, I'm not hungry. And then I was just like, that's weird. It's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I was like, all right, cool. And he's saying he got off of work at like 5 o'clock. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, you know, I'm getting hungry. Do you mind if I order? And he's like, no, not at all. You guys take note of that. I asked him, does he mind if I order? Oh, on the phone earlier in this conversation, you guys, in this story of time, he asked me out. You guys take note of that as well. Okay. So we're there, you know, we still, conversation's still good, and he's just distractingly intense and just ooh you know, y'all know how like Kevin Hart be like ooh I just want to love you with all my heart, ooh. He was giving me those vibes. So we were talking and, you know, just vibing out, and I was trying to, you know, just get a feeling. You know, some people come off intense, but once you get to know their personality, it's not that serious. So like I said, I'm well aware of that. So we're talking, and you know, I'm like, you want some of my pancakes, because you don't go to IHOP without getting pancakes. That's just the rule. So even if you get something else, you get a short stack on the side. So he's like, you know, yeah, I'll take some, whatever. So he eats some of the pancakes, and you know, I'm pretty much done with them or whatever. So the lady comes by and she puts the bill on the table. And he's not done. So he's looking at his watch, and he's saying like someone's coming to get his child's bed and exchanging it for a new one. So a pickup truck is coming, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, let me know when you gotta go or whatever. And he's like, nah. So I'm asking him like, you gotta go? He's like, nah, we still good. So the bill gets dropped on the table. We keep on talking. Maybe 15, 20 minutes later, he just starts looking antsy, like, you know, he has to go. So I'm like, all right, you know, you ready to go? He's like, sure. Yeah, I'm ready to go. So we get up from the table, you guys. I get up slowly, and as I'm getting up, he gets up before me and he starts to walk. And I realized that he didn't pick up the bill. Like, he didn't pick it up and put it in his hand and walk with the bill. So I pick up the bill, and I was just in a mode where I could have been ratchet. I could have brought out some ratchetry and been like, oh, you gonna get that? In front of everybody. So that way, you know, he was embarrassed his whole life. But I was like, let's just see what happens. So I pick up the bill. I look at the bill. The bill is small. I got a short stack. So we go to the front, and I get in the line, and he's standing there with me, side by side. We side by side. So we're standing in line, we come up, and the lady at the front desk, and it's funny, you guys, because the whole time I was sitting down eating, you could tell, you know when you could tell people hating on you and they envying you. The whole time I was sitting there eating and chilling and talking to him, you could tell that every female in there was looking at him like, oh my gosh, oh, you know, that's a nice looking guy, da, 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 da. Whatever. They thought he was good looking. Cool. So I can tell you one thing, by the time we got to the front, I'm sure that changed. So we get to the front, and the lady's like, can I see your receipt? So I give it to her, and she was like, okay, the bill's going to be $6.85. So I look at him, and he has, y'all, first he was standing side by side with me, like parallel to me, and now he's like back here a little bit. And I look at him, he's looking at his pocket, he digs in his pocket, and he pulls out his phone, and he starts texting or doing whatever in it, searching. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay the $6.85, Mr. $6.85. But this is the last day I go on with you, because listen, let me finish the story. So I pull it out. The lady at the front, y'all, she's an old Southern lady with a Southern accent, whatever. She's looking at him, she looking at me, and then she looking at him like so I pull out my purse, and I'm pulling through slow, you know, going through my wallet like, maybe he gonna go. No, he just so I paid the $6.85, and I'm like, thank you ma'am, you have a nice night, yada yada yada. So we go in the parking lot, and I'm thinking he gonna explain himself or something. I got you next time, you know, or whatever. So we get in the parking lot and he just wanted all these hugs and all this just intensified affection. And I'm like, so he's just giving me all this intensified affection and yada yada yada, and I'm just kind of like over it. So I'm just like like backing up a little. So he's saying like, you know, he has to wait before he has to go or something like that, and I'm a nice person, so I'm like, you know, do you want me to, you know, I could wait with you before I drive home. I live like, you know, right down the street, maybe 7 minutes down the road or so. And he looks at me, you guys, and he goes, little spurts at a time, little spurts at a time. And in my mind, I'm like, no, this fool didn't. Like somebody was pressed to hang out with him. I was just being nice. Little did he know he was never going to get another spurt. That was your last spurt, Mr. 685. So I'm like, okay. So I get in my car and I'm like, you know, you have a nice night, da da da. He's like, have a nice night. Oh, So I get in my car and I'm driving home, and I dial my friend, and while I'm on the phone with Ivory, Ivory picks up the phone. She goes, hello, and I'm like, so stunned, you guys, while I'm driving away. This is what comes out of my mouth. I'm like, I just went on a date. It was $6.85 and he didn't pay. And she was like, what? And I was like, I just went on a date. The bill was $6.85. He didn't pay. And she's like, hello? And I'm like, hello? Oh my gosh. So I tell her all about it. And while I'm on the phone with her, I just decide that I told her, you know, obviously that's without a given, I wasn't going to see Mr. 685 again. Duh. We know that. But I just felt like, due to the fact that, number one, he asked me out. Number two, he was over 30 years old. No wonder you're single, dude. And the fact that, you know, he stood there and dug in his pocket. Like, I expect a teenager to do that. Or maybe somebody young in their 20s that didn't have a father figure, or their mother didn't raise them correctly. I was like, you know what? I feel like a popular trait in women is we will, you know, when we're seeing a guy, instead of, like, when he does something wrong, instead of telling him, we just cut him off. And I really pride myself on not being the stereotypical female when it comes to dating guys. So I was like, you know what? I will never see him again. But I do think that I owe him, just as a common courtesy to all women, for the next woman he goes out on a date with, to tell him, you know, proper etiquette, because obviously he doesn't know it. So I call him and, you know, we talk about it, and I let him know that it was whack, basically. And, you know, I said it in nice words, and I was just like, you know, you don't invite a girl out and then leave her hanging like that. And, you know, I just thought I should tell you, just in case any woman didn't, because at 30 something years old, you could tell that's a habit that had been going on. Either that, or he just don't give a you know what. So I was like, you know, let me go ahead and get this on my chest. Let me tell you whatever. And then he's like, no, you know, being with you was so enchanting, and I just wanted to, you know, I had the funds. People get caught up in this stereotypical man role has a role and a woman has a role, and this, that, and the third, and da 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 da. So he started giving me some new age tangent stuff instead of apologizing, like, look, you know what, I could have got the bill, you know, that was very tasteless of me, you right, whatever, that was a bad first impression. Maybe he would have got another chance, because I am a forgiver, I really am. But due to the fact that he tried to explain himself and when he did it, y'all, you know how when you tell somebody that did something that you didn't approve of, or that didn't more so sit well with you, and then they try to like spin it on you and then say like something negative? That's what he was doing. He was like, oh, well, you know, basically like girls in their new school expected you to, if a dude don't hold the door, then he ain't the man of her dreams, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh no, And I let him go on his long tangent, because remember I told y'all he was long-winded. And when he finished, I just kindly told him, I was like, listen, I get that, but these are my standards, and I only find it befitting that I let you know. So that way you can decide whether you want to see me again. It's that simple. You guys, my grandfather was the hardest working man I know. He would lay your house out and put groceries in your house and pay your bills, honey. So, why? And open the doors and everything. Why? Why? Would I settle for a dude that couldn't even pay a $6.85 bill when he's saying that he had the money? No. And I'm not one of those girls with impossible standards, you guys. Let's just, disclaimer. I just know my worth. That's it. So, with that being said, ladies, know your worth. Me and my friends and my mother and my family, we laughed at you. Like, we laughed at him. Oops, guys. I'm talking to you guys, not him. Sorry. We laughed because with doing something like that at 30-something years old, you deserve the nickname Mr. 685, okay? Anyway, you guys, I heard from him one more time, and it was the next day. And I just kind of told him, or maybe I heard from him a couple times after that, but the next day when he hit me up, I told him that I reiterated my standards, like, okay, you're hitting me up, but did you hear me? Did you hear me though? Like, did you hear me? These are my standards. If you don't have any intention of fulfilling them or stepping up to the plate to be a grown man, I'm not interested. I'm sorry. There's better candidates. I'm not interested. So he's like, oh no, we gonna meet up and we gonna hang out and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay. So needless to say, he kind of fell off, and that was that. And yeah, so that's the end of my story time, you guys. I have maybe 2 or 3 more juicy story times left in me, but I really had to get this one off my chest, you guys, because you guys don't know how bad I've been dying to tell Mr. 685 on social media. So look, guys, that's the end of my story time. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't go out there dating any Mr. 685s yourself. Don't you date any 1085s. Don't you date any 2085s. Don't you date no 85. Don't you date 85 cent. Unless he's on hard times and he has a good heart and he explained it to you and you guys are just working it out and y'all want to struggle bust together and y'all gonna build up together and y'all gonna grind together and shine together. That's different. But if he ain't, kick him to the curb, girl. You cute. You poppin', boo. You deserve a better guy than that. Anyway, it's the end of my story time, you guys. I love you guys. Until next time, stay fresh and stay fierce. Mwah.